politically do you do that? No less when you have the person whose incarceration has stoked a lot of that violence waltzing in midway through the current president of the ANC and indeed the country's speech and litigating against him.
You must understand there was an underlying problem.
But that underlying problem was
finish?
Escalated.
There was an underlying problem. The event was a trigger. The question is, can we develop an approach where we provide the necessary service and resources to our people in such a manner that they cannot be triggered by any specific event? So that's the challenge. The event was a trigger of an underlying socio-economic problem. And I think what we need to be doing is to focus on the underlying issues.
Is that without dealing with the political issue, or is it two-pronged?
It's both. It's both. You can't say, the instability of the ANC sometimes creates tensions. It creates anxiety in government circles at all levels. People who feel that, if the new guys are going to chase us away, there's instability. I know those perceptions, but some of them are not founded on reality. I've cited 2 examples where a president was fired without making any major impact on both the governance and the macroeconomic framework.
You spoke on ESCOM, Minister, and seemed to suggest that we are going to be settling the ESCOM debt. I understand it's more than 400 billion rand. What's going to happen with the debt, Minister?
No, I've been saying this thing time and again, that I'm not going to take all of it. I'm going to take a portion of that debt. What the quantum is will depend on a number of things, including what the NESA tariff will be. So those things will affect, because I must look at ESCOM sustainability in the long term.
The departure of the rated minister has not affected some of the negotiations, especially with creditors, or?
No, not to my knowledge. My guy in asset and liability would have informed me about such challenges, not to my knowledge.
Melissa, could I ask you, on the question of diesel for ESCOM, your processes, your appropriation processes take some time before money could actually flow. What is the situation? Are you going to give them some kind of emergency allocation or something like that? Or are we in for stage 6 right up until
let me just say,
the end of March?
ESCOM is in discussion with my asset and liability team.
Yeah.
There's no discussion about a number at the moment. There are a number of scenarios which are on the table, which sometimes may not even make it unnecessary to go. For instance, if NESA makes a determination quite soon, they can easily forecast how much they can raise even now. I'm not saying we're not talking, but I'm saying there are a number of permutations. The NESA decision is quite critical for us for those scenarios.
Minister, long-term volatility coming out of political volatility, talk about market volatility, does it concern you at all?
No. Were you here when I spoke? I said, we fire presidents, not something new. We fire them. And it does never have had any major impact on this volatility. It's just...
You fire finance ministers over a weekend, it does.
Yeah.
Maybe not so
Now,
much.
that's an exception.
And the losses we've seen are similar.
That's an exception that we can special. So, but in general, I think I'm not worried about that. There are other things we can create. For instance, the volatility on ESCOM is more about the NESA delay than the CEO. So the NESA decision is quite critical for a number of things, including for stabilizing the market.
What are the conversations?
There's a deadline for that decision of Christmas Eve. They need to make that decision by Christmas Eve, and yet they keep delaying it.
So that's fine. If they've got a deadline, I'm quite happy. All I want is their decision. The sooner they make that decision, the better for me. because I must then start sharpening my pencils and say, how are we going to deal with things moving forward? And how do we stabilize the markets and so on and so on.
I'll phone you on Christmas Day to find out what you're doing.
Put your phone on.
My phone is going to be off on Christmas Day.
Minister, I have one last question. You mentioned your relationship with both current President Ramaphosa and Dr. Mkhize. But if there's a curveball nomination from the floor that makes its way to the end of the line for president, can we trust in your line around policy persists, whoever the person is?
Let me just say, whoever the person will pursue ANC policies. We don't have people having policies in their pockets. Let me change of style, change of emphasis, yeah. So that happens with any presidential change. You see the style of leadership and other things will impact, not broadly policy.
Thank you.
Any preference?
No.
And if you had one, you wouldn't tell us?
No, I wouldn't tell you because...
All right, thank you,
Finance
Finance
Minister. Thank you so much for your time.
Finance Minister Godongwana, of course, at that Progressive Business Forum, as he's just wrapped up his main speech. Of course, one of the big focus is on Eskom, as he mentioned that he's looking to settle a portion of that Eskom debt, not detailing exactly how much, as we do know it's ballooned to over 400 billion rand. But another focus is to not look at fixing Eskom per se. As they mentioned, they've poured in around 230 billion rand into the power utility from 2019 to date. So they're saying that maybe not fixing Eskom, but rather fixing the power grid itself is the focus that government should have. And he also mentioned, of course, that bringing in new capacity to solve the power woes in the country. Maybe not at the capabilities of Eskom, but looking possibly at those private investors coming into the fourth. Finance Minister Godongwana here in Nasrec at the Progressive Business Forum.